Hello everyone, and welcome to today's Thursday Live. My name is Denise Armenio, certified emotion code, body code practitioner, genius biofeedback practitioner, certified group energy facilitator, and I have the honor and pleasure of having Karen McDonald here with me today as my special guest, and so very excited. And I'm just going to turn it over to you now, Karen, so you can give yourself a little introduction here.
Well, thank you, Denise. It's absolutely exciting to be here. It's amazing that we've got such a dynamic community here. We're such a soul tribe, so to speak. So I just absolutely love it. And one of the things I've got a background in, I've actually been in the biofeedback industry for almost 2 decades. So I was trained through the original Quantum Alliance, which was set up by Ryan Williams in 2005. So I've been certified as well many times, and at least I'm on this side of the fence right now. So that's great. So in here, what's happened is I've had a career as a nurse. Actually, I was a former neonatal nurse and over with all the unions, so I was very well versed in what not to do. And from that, I became into essential oils. I became an aromatherapist with Dr. Gary Young, taught me fire walking, taught me, the whole importance of mental and emotional solid foundations that we need. I've done matrix with Dr. Um, Richard Bartlett, and I've been with many of the top people. Let's say I was, Dr. Len Horowitz and many different people that were in those fields back then. I'm also a colon hydrotherapist. I do face readings, obviously distance readings as well, and I'm also what's called a peri-steam hydrotherapist. So most people don't know what that is. So I'm going to encourage everyone to go look at steamychick.institute because you'll see what I'll be talking about. So in here, a lot of what I've done over the years, is to get people into being self-aware. And to me, biofeedback is the utmost way to do that. So in my clinics where I had in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, basically I had several different staff. We all had the old biofeedback machines. We were all trained in energetic medicine, like Shotai, like traditional Chinese medicine and Ayurvedic. We had free classes that we taught every week too. We taught basically superfoods, raw foods, that type of thing, hanging out with David Wolf and other friends. So, and all about the water. So that's a little bit of my background. I'm also a mother of two. I'm very well known up in these areas here for protecting children, land, and water. So
So,
that's
well,
a little
you
bit of
have you have really done so much, and I can talk to you for hours, but why
oh,
don't we
do.
start by we have a volunteer for today.
Yay.
And so I will call her on. She's not going to go on video, and that is okay. Um, but I just need to find you up here, so I can add you to, um, well, I guess I don't really need to pin you up here, but let me start sharing my screen, and everybody can see that now, right? And I hope that you will be able to hear it as well when we start working. And you can unmute yourself. If you don't know how, I can prompt you to
Hi,
do.
Denise.
Oh, hi, Anne.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for volunteering.
Oh, no problem. Actually, I'm Cindy. I'm Cindy.
Oh, sorry.
I know. Well, Anne is my first name. Remember, we had that
Oh,
conversation.
right. I'm sorry. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I find I have to sign in as Anne for the trainings, I think, because that's how I'm registered with the Genius.
Okay. Okay. So anyway, well, we have you here, and you just need to remind me of your birth date again.
It's October the 18th, 1961. And hi, Karen. I'm actually in Canada as well.
Whereabouts are you?
Well, right now I'm in Newfoundland.
Oh, you're as far as you can get.
Oh,
Uh,
I'm right in the middle of nowhere. But I used to live in Calgary
did you? Yeah. No, I did a lot of the.
and Fort McMurray.
I was just actually up those ways. That's not too this year. Going into Dawson Creek and stuff up into here. And she's talking about Calgary. It's very well known for the rodeos up here. So I used to go in for what was called the Big Four, and I used to do all these big body, soul, spirit expos because I was actually the rep for all your conscious expos up here for about a decade. But yeah, it's I'd never used the term quite Canadian or whatever. I'm a clan mother, so um, with the white tribes, so in here.
Oh,
But mine's about educating people into law and getting women back into their natural rights, actually.
yes.
Natural
Oh,
law.
that's, yes, I've actually heard you on a few different trainings and stuff like that. So
Awesome. Well, welcome. Well, we're excited to get this rolling today. So
Yeah, so let's get it rolling. We are going to focus on the new strain of Candida auris, but any other questions that come up or we want to talk about, we will try to get to all of them because we're still doing a demo here. We need to keep it moving a little bit, but we'll try to answer all your questions as they come up. So basically, I have Cindy's information loaded in here, and on the bottom right, you can see continue with analysis. I'm just going to hit that. And this is just for your own information when you're taking notes on a client or a family member, just to know what maybe you worked on. I'm not going to fill that out today. It does not affect the scan whatsoever. So the next important thing that we want to do is work with our voice. And the Genius has amazing technology that helps read the energetics of your body by a voice analysis. So, Cindy, I am going to just ask you, I'll count you down 3, 2, 1, begin. And then you can just say your full name and repeat the vowels A, E, I, O, U until this 15-second counter here gets to 0.
yeah.
So 3, 2, 1, begin.
A-E-I-O-U. And Cynthia Wilcott Stewart. A-E-I-O-U. And Cynthia Wilcott Stewart. A-E-I-O-U.
Terrific. Terrific, terrific. Okay, now we're going to keep our fingers crossed that I've done everything correctly so that you guys can hear the sound of the Genius with the new settings in Zoom. So fingers crossed. I'm going to press on the bottom left the voice harmonics. And that's really important that you press that. So that is showing you how the Genius has translated your spoken voice into a frequency, and it works very similar to homeopathy where like cancels out like. So here we go.
We can hear it.
yeah,
I can hear it.
it's not properly though. So
Karen, you couldn't hear it?
it's very garbled. So I can hear that there's a noise, but it's you couldn't distinguish that it would be the harmonics that we know it as. So it's
Okay, well, I don't know what to do with that actually right now. Let's
carry on.
carry on.
Very faint. It's garbled though.
Okay, and I'm just gonna take a little screenshot here, Cindy, of your name. I'm gonna add it into my photos. And we can, if we just click on the avatar here and click existing photos, and then I could just use that and I'll hit begin analysis here.
Well, that's different. Sorry, I'm having a jammy day today because it's a miserable day here weather-wise. So I've decided to just stay in and
Well, good. Let's see. I'm just going to add an energetic affirmation here. You don't have to, but I always think it's a nice thing to add. If you're working on a particular affirmation for the day, you just want to type it in here. The one I particularly like to use is all energies are transmuted into the frequency of pure love. I'm not the best typist, guys. Anyway, so once I type this in, again, the Genius will translate the written text into a frequency, and that frequency will be overlaid whenever you're reading any of the frequencies throughout this session. Okay, so now we can hit begin analysis. And the first thing I want to pull up is your aura picture. And we can hit begin analysis now.
Sounds very techno.
Sorry, I would talk while it's running, but I know that you can't hear me, so it's kind of pointless. So here's your aura. Um, we can, I'm not going to get into much detail about it now, but we're always looking for bright, vibrant colors. They're the colors of the chakras. When you see pale or dirty looking colors, it's a good indication that there's stagnant energy. Pale colors could maybe mean that your life force energy is low, but because it's really just out in this outer circle, it's usually more like kind of in all space and time. So we're not really going to worry about that so much. If it was really pale close to your body, I would be a little bit more concerned. And we could also just switch to the classic version. And here we're seeing that mostly all the color is filled up in here, which is good. It means that you're basically grounded. I can't really tell. It may be coming up a little bit at the top here and maybe possibly as the energy is moving across from left to right, although we're looking at it right to left since it's mirrored. It could be lifting up, but again, I'm not going to really go into much detail, but do use both the auras. They both give great information, but different information. And you can watch some of the lives I've done with Karen McGeorge, where we get into more detail. Okay, so quickly, the Genius uses a numerical value system, 0 to 777. We like to focus on the blues and reds, which are at the low and high end, but that doesn't mean we don't look at the yellows and the green that are in the middle too. 0 to 100 is represented by the color blue. That is observed to be your chronic energetic disturbances, also referred to as under energy or stagnant energy. And reds are viewed, they're 689 to 777, represented by red, and observed to be more acute energetic disturbances. So they're happening now. And everything in between, the tighter you get, the better your results are going to be. If you work with 600 and above and 400 and below, it's going to be a much tighter scan. But a lot of people like to work with 600 and above and 200 and below. And you can watch previous videos on that. I want to try to talk a little less so we can get to the heart of the matter since we have Karen here with us today. So usually what I will start with is just running the primer vessel from the bioterrain. And I am going to go to that because we're going to be working a lot with this library today with with Cindy, sorry.
That's okay.
And let's run the analysis. I also like to work with the general overview, but I'm not going to do that today because we're going to get right into the nuts and bolts of things. And so let's go right to bioterrain, and I'm going to add these items in here, and I'm just going to run them for you for 30 seconds. So I can select all here from these top purple buttons, and you can see all the items will be checked. And now I can just hit play. Okay, so we have a 34% rectification. I usually like to always see 40% and above. And the Genius will also tell you that it likes to see 40% above. It will give you an excellent if it is above 40%. But I'm not going to worry about that, so we can get to the heart of the matter here. I do just want to point out, Cindy, that you may want to work on this for yourself, and just go into that spiritual protection library, given that these two items are showing up at the top here. But for now, I am just going to clear out the main hold tray, and that will allow us to go straight into, we can look at the Candida and see, um, let's just see, oops, Candida. And so here's the Candida, which is at 141. So I'm sure, well, we can ask Karen what she thinks, but still at 141, I would definitely work with that. So I'm going to put that in. I highlighted it in the search because that's what we're really trying to work with and look at today. But with that said, I'm definitely going to add in these reds and the blues here for you as well. And Karen, why don't you take it over a little bit and talk to us about this new strain of Candida, just to educate everybody. And I guess we have to make it YouTube friendly, so
Yeah,
if possible.
I'll put on my like happy lippy here. Okay, yeah. Decide where we are today. Okay, so in my background nursing, one of the things is that any candida or fungus, there's a new kind of thing like MSRA and stuff like that, that they're basically multi-drug or resistant or what we call nosocomial pathogens. In this big long language, it means basically that it's resistant to antibiotics, which is great. We should not be using them anyway. They actually are anti-life, in there, and they suppress the immune system for weeks. So we used to be able to test that, and so this became a real problem. Once you get into using, let's say, biofeedback, because this can go into infections, into the blood, everything else, and usually what they try are basically these antifungal things that try to isolate, the pathogen itself, and it becomes a problem. Once you guys are lucky enough, and as you have been, is to go into biofeedback or what we call radionics, we have the ability that, and if you haven't seen this, it's called TED Talks, Shattering Cancer with Frequencies, but it's the same thing that we could do with going into this type of pathogen. So the Candida, like anything else, fungus and everything else, does respond to a lot of things that we have in the data bank here. And so that's why it's important with what you've done and with Dr. Debbie Drake and Connie and everyone else in here, that you're seeing that bioterrain is everything. And as a colon hydrotherapist, I know that. And the other thing too is that they are not synergistic, they are parasitic. And so they have their own consciousness as well. So we've seen people where they still go slightly psychotic, emotional brain fog, they're vying for your food, they take up residency. And so this is why I think using the Genius is probably the most amazing tool that we have at these days, because we can use it directly on the client, but we could also use it as imprinting in the remedies. And in the chat box, I've given you some references to look at, because what you're seeing the Candida ties into is what's been given, I'll just say, in the nano, needles and stuff like that. And this is why they want to use things like those pastes that go up into the butt, I'll just say. And I'm a colon hydrotherapist. I know crap, let me tell you. I've done thousands of people's butts, no question. And that's why I'm the last one to do drugs. Whether it is the HCQ, we could use Shakona bark, or if you want something, you can use your Genius and use water. Water could be used as an enema, it could be used orally, it could be used in the bath, it could be used for steaming. And this kind of candida is very, very stubborn. It's not something that you get rid of all the time. And if you look up who I've been hanging out with lately for the last few months, well, last couple of years, but the last couple of months a lot, is Dr. Robert Young. And so we can also see this kind of stuff, these pathogens, on live blood cell. So I actually made a live blood cell panel for the genius as well in my library in here. So I think these are some of the different things that we need to look at, how we can approach it. Also, in the actual chat box here, I've given you other natural remedies. One would be chlorine dioxide and things like that that we could use. You can use thyme. Thyme is a really underrated essential oil. You know, even if you wanted to use it from a herbal point for steaming or things like that, it would be excellent to use. So these type of things, you know, everyone just always associates, I think, Denise, with, oh, she's got a Candida yeast infection, like she needs to take some, like, you know, some suppository vaginally. Well, you know, or doing something with like douching or something. But, you know, actually, these are really, really common that we see. The reason I brought up the Candida auris is because there are some different things that have been used for, we'll just say, biological terrain warfare. And this is why we want to bring it to your attention. This is one of the ones that we will start seeing, and because it's such a persistent thing, and your pH will be everything. So I'm not just about doing biofeedback, I'm about giving the clients the right education. Everything in here, and as I think Dr. Debbie, that's, you see that training that we've had for years, is that we're used to going into, whether it's emergency room or wherever it might be, is make sure your clients are very well hydrated, salt water, and make sure they're alkalized. So that's the biggest thing to get rid of Candida, by the way. If you don't know what litmus paper, you should have it first morning urine.
Oh,
So,
I'm glad that you brought that up because I wanted to ask you a couple of questions, and I'm sure if I have the question that other people here would.
yeah.
So you can take it from saliva and urine. Is should you be doing both? And is it when you first like dip it or
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
um, how long are those colors accurate? Because I notice when I've used it, the longer it dries out, like the color changes. So do you want to look at that end color or the beginning color?
No, no. What you want to do is we want to know where normal is, okay, in the hospital. And this is why I don't know why it's not out in the mainstream more than just a few of us in here saying, but you're hearing all this thing about alkalinity foods, alkaline waters. We don't need $5,000 water machines. But what's normal here is you get these urine stripes. They're pH, and you can get them as sticks or as a tape here. They run about $15. And what happens is that normal in the blood should be 7.35 to 45. So we'll just say 7.5. What Dr. Young has been finding is that we need to raise our pH, and it's almost like chakras. Like 3D is that yellow ucky color. And you know
Hmm.
what? That's where all your foods are usually. So we really encourage people to eat higher. This one goes from 5.5 all the way up to in here at 8, 9. Now, what it is, that's where you want your urine to be. And what we prefer to do is take the first morning midstream pee.
Okay.
I'll say that again. So pee a little bit, and if you want, get a cup and just dip it. Now, what happens, I'll just do some water here. You're going to see just quickly. You see that's not changing much? That's where most of your drinking waters, even they'll use lye or something in the cities to make it a little bit more alkaline, not healthy. So I usually only have spring water. So you can still see some springs are alkaline, but this one, as you can see, is not. And
Okay.
that's where all your candida, yeast, fungus, and mold are going to proliferate in because it's like being in the lower chakras. This correlates almost exactly to chakras, by the way. Do you want to
Oh,
be in the
interesting.
third
I didn't
chakra?
realize that.
Yeah. So if I took it up and we went this way, you're going to look at it a little different. So start thinking, do I want all the chakras activated? Very much. So I will just give you a couple different tips. You can look at it or get a hold of me later. But baking soda, if you can take it, is one of the easiest things to do. So I'm just going to add a little bit of baking soda water. I want you to see the difference within seconds. Where do you want to live? Now, when you have that, it burns out. And you can see the acidity level here. You guys can measure it, but you can see the correlation here. That's what I want to see on the first morning urine, because as you go through basically the night, right? You know, 11 to 1, 1 to 3, right? You're going through your gallbladder, liver, lungs, and then colon is 5 to 7. So you're doing a whole cleansing reset. And so the most acidic usually will be there. You can look a little bit with Dr. Robert Young, look at his blogs. Absolutely fascinating. Okay, so all of my clients, this is the first thing you need to know. This is triaging. That's the difference between life here and death. So you're regenerating here. The green would be you're just holding it. But this is regeneration. That's generation, that's degeneration.
Okay.
Okay, so that's how we start knocking things out. And it's excellent to do. The other thing, just to grab a few things, aromatherapy or whatever.
Now, you would never check the saliva in your mouth?
You can, but you know what? I
It's
don't
not
like doing that because it's like I used to live with all the Kangen people I know. They would put it on. Don't put anything. This is all chemicalized. It's not like it's natural. So if you want to put it into a glass and spit into it or something, do a saliva test, in here. So I think that's really, really important to know this. But I'm more about the urine, is what the fluids are going through. You can do both if you want to correlate it, and sometimes we will actually go so far as to actually have you do like a 20, morning, noon, night, and right before bedtime if we want to
I would
get
imagine it would fluctuate based on what you're
totally,
eating
totally. But
today.
the most accurate to me is right there, and that's when I want to do it because, like I said, it makes such a difference. And then you should always add some salt too, because that's what's burning out these little suckers. And when you get into it, it doesn't matter if you hear about cancer being parasites or this candida, the yeast, the fungus, they're proliferate. But the only reason we got rid of it in a hospital, quite frankly, is because we gave you bicarbonate drips with some like really poor glucose in it.
Mhm.
Okay, so if we do it ahead of time, and this should be the first thing in the morning, and if you have problem with that, there are herbs we have. They're alfalfa based because alfalfa is plus 33. Coffee, by the way, would be minus 25. Alcohol's minus 20 some. Pork, beef, chicken, minus 20 some. Bread, wheat, dairy. So now you see what we're eliminating when
And I
we,
have to offset it with all the more
yeah. So
alkaline
if you
stuff. So
had
if you're
coffee,
not,
yeah, if you had coffee or something or alcohol or whatever, just to give you an idea, it will take 12 cups of water, and I'll say alkaline water, to neutralize that 1 cup of coffee. Okay,
lot.
so this is where we see people in, garbage in and garbage in. So I want to bring this to your attention because this is what the kind of basics that co-align with the genius, and it will help you interpret, it will help you navigate that better for people. Holy moly, wow, I know. I'm back to all these things with Dr. Robert Young. I really want you to know two people, drrobertyoung.com and drrobertmorse.tv. Okay, these are the people that know what we're doing. David Avocado Wolf, I'm a close friend of him. I do biofeedback for all him and his road crew when they're up here. Okay,
That's
so
awesome.
we're always talking about this. This is so, so important. It's all about the balance. So if you can get these things, if you haven't got Denise's and those beautiful bioterrain libraries, get them because you know what? This is life saving. I like the oils, I like everything else, but what you have designed here in the pH guide and the bioterrain is life. And we know that all death begins in the colon. And your pH in your stomach, all of that is in the villi of the small intestine. So I'm going to start talking about things like how we can clean that up. So I'm so excited. So, if we need a little pep thing in the morning, you'd be amazed what that does. And I'm just going to bring one more thing here. We've been talking about clay waters. We've been talking about also, you can see it's black. Isn't
Hmm.
that gorgeous? You can take just juice and put it in, or you'll hear the term black lemonade, which is also another thing. You could put your baking soda in here with what's called master cleanser. And so by the time I've actually put all this stuff in, you can start creating an alkaline drink. That's why people that lived almost indefinitely, like Dr. Gary Young, other people, was a book called Healing for Enlightenment. But you could go in here, and if it's still not, alkaline enough, and you can still see it's more alkaline than that water was.
Oh, you could add like more baking soda
There
or
we go. Yeah, I can add it right in there, and it's going to change the whole train. And this is one of the best things people could be drinking right now because of all the stuff that's airborne and around. So these are my little things to deal with Candida. And you can use it in enemas. You could use it definitely in douches, and I'm really about womb trauma. Like, let me tell you, in there, everything is about what they say, walking the red road, but that's cleaning out your root chakra. And
okay.
so I
Now,
think,
oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
nope, you
I
have
was
one.
just gonna ask, like, well, first, Sarah, oh, Connie mentioned Bob's Red Mill as far as the baking soda. Are there
Yeah.
baking powder?
No, yeah.
Soda.
Well, I'll cover that. It's a great question. Okay. Always get a clean baking soda. Go to a health store or go online. Bob's happens to be one of it. What I will tell you is Arm& Hammer is not fit for human consumption. It's synthetically done like a lot of things. And they're on the market. And yes, people have like, you can look up, curing whatever CA word,
Mhm.
on here, which is using baking soda and maple syrup. I think it's a brilliant thing. I use it with all my clients. A lot of people, if you want to get alkalized, you can actually just take a saucepan, put about equal amounts, like 1 teaspoon of baking soda, one of maple syrup, heat it up slightly, and then put it in your water because it is amazing. Children will take this because it tastes like toffee. So that's one of the ways you can do it. If you want to look up black lemonade, you can look up black lemonade. There's instructions on there. There's YouTubes for it, but it's basically a cup of water, spring water. I use organic lemons. I'll start with number 9. I'm trying to teach people here because there's stuff there's like called appeal and things and synthetics being put on even on organics now that we might not be able to wash off. Organic number 9. So all your organic food starts with the number 9 on the sticker label. Know
Mhm.
that. And what happens is even though it's a citric acid, it's what it does with our pH, which is called residual ash pH. And so in here, 1 cup of water, half a lemon or to a lemon, little baby pinch of, let's say, Celtic salt, something along like that for your electrolytes in here. Some people like a little pinch of cayenne pepper, 30,000 heat units or 40 or something. And then what you can do is you can take 2 capsules of the activated charcoal, or 3 or 4 if you want. You can take it just orally. And the reason why is you might want to do that instead of making it look like this is if you've got dental, because you don't want it staining, obviously. But
Mm.
in here, this does not change the color. And it's amazing. Occasionally, I'll put a few other things in here, which are called phytoberries. But in here, I've just made basically a chelation detox electrolyte power super vitamin mineral drink. And you can live on that. And for the glucose, if you don't want anything, you can just use some green stevia. Some people use blackstrap molasses. I like to use,
Honey? Would you use honey
I'm
raw?
not a big honey fan myself, just because
Okay.
of the acidity of it. And I prefer trees
Okay.
on here. So the trees would be maple syrup, birch syrup, things like yakin syrup. Some people put a little bit of coconut syrups in here too. You just need a little bit of glucose. And I will tell you, there are people that have lived on this 3 months, 6 months, a year because this is better than Boost, Ensure, and all those things that are just totally polluted with corn syrup and food dye and um, additives and stuff like that. They're just awful. So agave, someone just asked here, agave is not necessarily the best thing, and it's not that I haven't used it. It's very hard to find a clean agave, and I know you see raw blue agave, all the things, these cute little bottles, and they look like the old Aunt Jemima thing. But actually, agave, when it's clean, is actually from the tecawana plant, so it looks white like tequila. It's clear. So that tells me what's going on here. So myself, just I find a lot of stuff like maple syrup because you can still use it with diabetics.
Mhm.
There's a big thing, and anything about a tree these days I find is way better. In there. I really had a fascinating and exciting talk again, several of them with Dr. Robert Morris. So all about the fruits, trees, much more electrolytes and stuff like that. And this is the kind of stuff where you get rid of this, things like the candida, the yeast, the molds, the funguses, biofilm, stuff like that. So I think that's, so important to go here. Know what normal is because it helps you to interpret that. Even if I wanted to, a client came in with this candida, what would happen is I want to start going for my raindrop kit. I want to go for the oregano, the thymes, the tea trees, things like that. They're going to knock it out. Clove, thieves oil, in here. So take a look at what you've got in those arsenals because this goes right across the board. It's a broad spectrum. We don't need to be using definitely anything pharmaceutical,
Right.
here. And there's a real push on the pharmaceuticals again. That was one thing, to do that. So know that you've got some great options here. So I hope that kind of helps you guys and um, get you moving forward a little bit because I want people to think this is not just about doing biofeedback. It's great, but you've got plates and you've got all sorts of
Oh, yeah, we
accessories.
have so much equipment that we can use.
Exactly. And again, these are the things you could imprint your electrolytes or, um, we talked about candida. A lot of the women with, let's say, yeast infections. Um, it's okay. I'm just going to show you a little yoni steam thing because probably most people don't know it unless they're following me. They don't know what it is. So
And if you're not following Karen, you should be because she has a lot of really useful information.
okay, you can see down here I've got 2 hot plates. They're not necessary, but I just grabbed something from the kitchen to show you how user-friendly this is. I think everyone's got one of those metal bowls from the dollar store.
Mhm.
And I think we all have saucepans. So in there you can get, like on the white one I have just a tea bag. You can put crystals in there, amethyst, black tourmaline, whatever you want. or you can get loose teas. I don't care. But what you can see is I've got a chair made and it's got a little hole in it. Okay, there's a hole in the bucket. There's a reason because what you do is you sit on that and you put a blanket around you, and the steam comes up. And you can look up steamychick.com. These are the type of things that I do for Candida, and it was for fertility, and actually it should be just commonplace. So I do men, women, I've done cats, I've done dogs,
How do you get them to sit?
children. You know what? We can put them actually in cages, or if they were little, I was doing little shits poo things when I did them, but you can just hold them over. Well, actually, my girlfriend, we were all holding the dogs over. We were trying to save some dogs, and it worked. Steam is very important, and that's where your genius comes in. I can use these imprint plates on the crystals in that water and steam them up. The other thing as well I can do is I can do what's called yoni pearls or vaginal pearls.
Mhm.
And by the way, men do that too. If you think I'm joking, you can go look up Tikkun Spa, Takkum, and you can see what all the celebrities do, including the famous plastic surgeons like Dr. Dubray that does the show Botched. You'll see them with their butts steaming. And what they did is they took swabs. I didn't tell you this. They went and they took swabs down there looking for the candida. They steamed, and the actual counts were less. They
Wow.
need to take drugs. So what I'm showing you is this is older than almost time immemorial. This is before the pyramids. And this is what it doesn't matter. I could probably say vagina in 20 words now in languages. But I want you to take a look at this because that's how the genius can be applied at home. Is we make the waters, make the remedies. You can make it for your clients. You can make tinctures to go as well.
We're gonna
And
need a whole other class to go over this. So we will. Let's see if we can work a little bit with Cindy a little bit more and help work with that. Now, for everybody here uh, on where I'm on the BioTrain pH balance guide,
mhm.
I have you can see the reds and the blues down here. I added the um which one did I add? I added the optimum pH for blood and 7.365. Would you agree with that, or do you think it should be even higher than that?
I would be going higher myself, and I agree with Dr. Robert Young, right? We should be actually going for 8 to 8.5 because there's something, the biggest organ is not your skin. There's something inside. It's called the interstitium and the interstitial fluid
Oh, here's the
and the
8.5.
urine. So I actually want, specifically too, that we would put blood's great, but you know what? You need to, it's like an oil change. You need to have the fluids like juicy, very juicy. They were able to keep Dr. Alexis Carrel kept a chicken heart alive for 29 years, and that's all they did. They kept it in a petri dish with basically the right electrolytes and the right pH. Indefinite. That's their mortality.
Okay, so everybody, I don't know if you saw what I did, but I just added the pH alkaline 8.5 because we want to tell the body where we want it to go and not confuse it by giving it all other different ones. So I'm kind of using this right now a little bit as an assessment.
Hmm.
Cindy, I know that you don't have the pH things, but I would tend to think that you're probably more on the acidic side right now, and this is the stressor of it. Again, it's red, so that means it's like what's happening now. We could look down at the blue, and the blue is also showing maybe on a more chronic level, so maybe all the time. You're somewhere probably between 5.75 and 6.75, which is acidic. So that is giving you some indication of the direction that you want to move. So Karen, I assume you agree with that, or if you have any other suggestions there on how you would work with that.
I think
And
that's so important. You just hit it on the head. This is all about the terrain. And,
mhm.
the healthier the environment, the less these little things and critters can be laying their eggs, which can be like millions of little eggs every day. So, yeah.
So, and we can also go then and we can look at the parasitic rife frequencies. And I'm just going to add the reds and the blues here as well. This is a huge panel, so it will bulk up quickly in your main whole tray. And I also like to add, um, when I'm working with the parasites or whichever whether it's mold or whatever you're working with. The statements, I
Hmm.
find that these are really important and they're positive. So it's putting, again, it's working, you're sending the positive frequencies um, into your field. And that's always works. Not that it doesn't work if you use negative statements, because again, it's the like cancels out like. But if we can encourage the positive statements, that's always a good thing to work with. And is there anything else you would want to work with when you're working with that strain?
I think going in there, basically once you've nailed that candida itself and identify it. Remember, we've got these, but if you don't have Denise's wonderful bioterrain things, remember that you got a fungus
Mhm.
detector in the entangled insight. So if you flip all the way back, to where it says load all, you've got your,
And why don't we do that right now so
yeah,
we can
just to show you so
show
that you've got
everybody?
some options.
So,
I
um,
think that's important. So
where
that,
is
yeah, if we go to even infection, or if you go to infection or anywhere and tap it on the right side or the fungus and hit the very right side, you're going to come to the entangled insight. And remember, you can either load all or just go into the fungus department. Load all their funguses and do like an antifungal, instead of using things that are synthetic, like the ivermectin paste. Okay?
sorry, this is loud, I know.
No, it's not
Okay, so
bad.
then here, well, we can add this fungus. I can't even say that, but you may also want to add some of the blues as well.
Yep. And the aspergillus is showing up a lot now too. So once you start looking through these, look at the histoplasmosis. Like this is what people are going into. This is the misdiagnosis for the oncology department and cancer department. So really know these departments well, and just remember how easy it is. It's like reversing diabetes in 30 days. The same thing we used to do with our clients in 30 days if they have this type of things. But again, these can be really persistent. And so there are herbs or antifungal or antiparasitic kits everyone should be doing a couple times a year anyway, just like deworming. So
And and sorry, I did want to just point out too that fungus is showing up blue and low, suggesting that this has been a chronic issue with you. So, um, the other thing that I also wanted to point out is I had mentioned it before when um, I think it was the priming vessels that the entities showed up. Now they're really common when working with parasites that those are going to show up. So I would add the spiritual protection. I'm just going to drop the title of it so that we have all those in the tray with us. And why don't we just do, unless there's something else in here that you want to add, Karen? I was going to just go straight to balancing these. Was there anything else you wanted to look at?
in here, and just because there might be some herbs that are great for this. There are
Okay.
also the essential oils. Never overlook the essential oils. You don't have to be an aromatherapist. My gosh, you've picked out already what you're resonating with here, but things like aloe vera is important. I have everyone on aloe vera these days simply because of the electrolytes. So it wasn't electrolyte, it's electrolytes, which is your minerals. Another word we use for that. But the aloe vera is one of the highest things in electrolytes and one of the best things for radiation and candida right now. And
So, and
everything's
you have
going
it
on.
right here as add a balance. So it's great that
Yep,
we're adding that, and we
perfect
can go
timing.
right to the essential oils, and I'll add the reds and the blues here as well.
Right.
And for anybody who doesn't realize how this works, it's really handy. The little magnifying glass here on the side, if you click that, it just gives you a very brief explanation of what dill would be for. So here it's saying digestion, depression, and anxiety. So that really covers a lot.
Doesn't it? It was actually one of the three things. I don't know. I mean, everyone knows about thieves oil that Gary used to make, or, On Guard on the other companies or the other things we would make. But in here, dill was amazing. Dill, coriander, and fennel were actually the three digestively that would actually start bringing diabetes and get the diabetics back to normal. So never overlook that dill on your potatoes, or make sure you got it in your gardens or indoor, hydroponics these days. It's a very powerful. oil and herb itself. And you can see the thyme as I talked about. That
Mm-hmm.
is things I always like to think as time is giving you more time in your life.
Yep, and we have jasmine down here on the bottom, which um sacral stimulation, depression, and insomnia.
Yeah, it's really great for trauma in there. Clove, never overlook that as well. Clove is sea love. It's the highest antioxidant on the planet. If I had to go like with 10 oils in my kit, that's one of them.
So
So clove is like liquid oxygen to people, and peppermint, same thing too. And you can see all those firs, trees, and stuff like that. So it's amazing. But those can be
okay.
taken, I was going to say, energetically into your through plate. I also put them in the water. I also put them in yoni or vaginal womb detox pearls too. So I also make what's called aromatherapy pills. We get empty things. So these are all things you can put on your plate to imprint and then take it in on the 3D, on the physical level. So it's amazing.
I'm just
And
going to run the analysis on this.
yeah,
And look at what popped up right on top is clove. So I
never,
am going to run all of these for 1 minute. Whoops, hold on. Here we go. Karen, can you post your Facebook? You don't have a website, right? It's your
getting
Facebook.
them right now in there.
Oh,
Right.
it's in there. Great.
And I'm actually available on all of them, like Telegram, MeWe, Skype, Zoom, everything too. So, but I don't keep a website. They used to take my websites down. I used to have visitors at my that wanted to hear what we were doing with listening devices in my old clinics, right? So know that this is really important, just to get a hold of me that way.
It's hard to hear you with the, at least me. Karen, I think Jackie is asking, I believe it was your Fido something, what the full name and manufacturer it is of it. Jackie, that's what you were asking about, right? The Fido
Yeah, it's from a company called
Yes,
Progressive
Fido. There we go.
Phytoberries, and I'll just tell you the reason why, because it's not the greens that are going to save anyone, it's going to be the berries in the trees. And in here, this is 28 pounds dehydrated into this. Okay, so have a really great listen at some of Dr. Robert Morris's stuff, and that's why I'm looking at tree oils are very high antioxidants and stuff, and that's where I tend to focus on for all these diseases and everything that we're dealing with right now, whether it's Candida to whatever. That's just standard, foundation or protocols for my clients right now.
Okay, that's great. Now, Cindy, you had a great rectification, 63%. And what I love is that your harmony, alignment, and energy flow, I mean, it's really pretty tight in there. So that's great too. So what I would do now is run the highs and the lows. I just want to make sure that they're clicked, and we can run those for 30 seconds. Oh, so that's low percentage. So um, I'm going to run that for 1 minute. And sorry, I just want to select the highs and the lows again. So now I am happy because you had a great percent rectification now on running that last one. So that's really good. And again, the harmony, alignment, and energy flow is really tight. So that's a good indication that all of this will hold. So let's just go back and look at what your aura is looking like.
What's that color and what would you consider that color that's right closest to my, instead of,
Just wait 1 second, Cindy. I can't really
oh, sorry.
hear you. So, okay, so we're losing the red color a little bit. This color in the center is still a little, and it's still a little bit blurry, but I think it looks better overall. And looking at the old version again, it looks like, you know, you're a little bit out of your body, coming in, moving left to right, but as you're looking at it right to left, it looks better on the bottom. So what I would do from here, if we're closing out a session, I would clear all this, and then I would go to back to the bioterrain, and I would add these 2 libraries that say finish on them because I like to close with these. So I'm just going to drag them, and it's not letting me drag those, so I'm just going to yellow and green here. And then I always like to add in the Alaskan crystals. These crystals are amazing. I'm going to add all the crystals. And they're also going to help you with grounding as well. So let's just go to the main hold tray, and we have 111, and that's one of my favorite angel numbers. So I'm really happy with that. And we can run all of these for 1 minute, and then we'll see what the aura looks like, and anything you want to close with, Karen, I'll give you the floor. So 29%, would like to see that higher, but for today, for the demo, we're going to leave it with that. Let's just see how it shifted your aura. And guys, make sure you're checking out the chat. Karen is putting in some great resources in the chat, so maybe you want to screenshot those. I love the center color, so that means what's near to your body that's definitely has looked the best out of all of it. I don't love this outside, but again, it's outside. That could be more like past life, more all time, all space. It is a little cloudy out here, but we didn't work very long on any of these, so I would probably work a little bit longer, maybe on like the crystals and some of the spiritual protection libraries, as well as the other stuff. But sometimes when you want to enhance the aura a little bit, adding in those herbs and essential oils and your solutions is going to be a great benefit to you. It's not always what you want to take out, but what you want to add in. So, with that, Karen, anything you want to say?
No, I think this is a great rectification. I mean, if you look at the inner core, it almost
Mhm.
to me sometimes you'll see the acidity. I mean, because it's dense, there's density in there, and you're looking at like the root core issues in there. So it's a good reflection of how things have actually lifted up and expanded. So to
I
me, that's
agree.
almost, like 4 or 5 chakras going boom, 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 like putting all your breaker switches on and you're
Hmm.
on you. One of the things too that would just be also I put some stuff in the chat, and if you don't know how to save it, there's the 3 dots. You can save it to your computer. But in here is one is having the litmus paper at home, checking that regularly. The other thing too is that we're getting really acidic, and the candida and stuff. It's like it's responding to the environment. So one of the biggest things is the EMF triggering. And those are something that I think it's really important that if you've got your geniuses and stuff too, is to have radiation protection stuff for crystals or other things on here because you're handling these. These are I think one of the most important things too is to have the right tools. I don't touch mine. It sits on the stands just like my phones have selfie sticks. Or you see my terahertz and stuff like that that you guys can use with the genius and stuff too, is making sure that you're not touching that. So the more radiation you have around, and that's why I mean with smart meter peels. It's all things that we need to know and have these wonderful tools. And having said that, if you want to use your genius forever, you know what the secret to that is? I figured that out. I was like, when this all comes down, I'm going to have like a little baby solar panel. Make sure that you guys can get so that you can run your genius off grid. You can get something called a Sierra wave, and they're about that big, and they're online, and then that way you can power up your genius forever. I think that's it, and that's to have the empowerment, and that's what I like to see is that everything is information technology,
Hmm.
right? So the more that we have, that's why every biofeedback therapist or every session is different. You'll never replicate it or duplicate it because it's
Right.
biometric. And I just want to congratulate you. This looks wonderful, and maybe Anne's got some comments on this, or sorry, Cynthia.
Actually, it's been great. Thank you guys so much. Yeah, it's all very interesting. Would there be a replay?
Yes, we'll be posting it. Hopefully,
Oh, okay.
we
Yeah,
can
because
get it
I
on
found when I
YouTube.
listen to it the second time after, then I can pay attention more. But it's funny because I do have the cold, and I was thinking that I should be chewing maybe a clove bud every day,
So,
but I haven't started yet.
well,
I've been doing the copper protocol, so I've kind of been cleansing the last couple of days too. So that's why I'm feel a little out of sorts, but it's good. I know I need to do it.
well, yes, use it. You have the tools. So,
Yes,
chop chop.
Yeah,
yes.
exactly.
I'm
And
still I'm still trying to work with the genius. I find it a little different and stuff like that, but I'm getting there.
yeah, there's such great resources when you look at, I don't know if all of you guys, but I love mygenius.com. There's also your Facebook groups at Insight Health and Insight Health apps and the Health Hub. Very important to have that, whether you're on Telegram or whatever. And I think you've got great resources here, so I think that's great. I'm really curious to know what you felt though, because a lot of
Hmm.
times when I'm doing stuff with clients too, they can actually feel it. So I'm trying to see if you noticed anything like a tingling or a shift
I
or
did feel tingling. I did
oh,
feel
interesting.
tingling earlier.
So where would that be? I'm always curious
It
because
it was actually in my stomach.
yeah,
Oh, nice.
that's what I was going for. So I would think with the acidity, remember that's where I talked about in
Yeah.
here. That's your third chakra. That's your solar plexus, and that's these little guys get in, and they're in the solar plexus in your guts for a reason. They're disempowering you. So it's like your
Oh,
adrenals, right?
yes.
In there, and it really correlates to doing really excellent like cleanses. So I'm not surprised that's where it was activating in that area
So in
right.
drinking the baking soda, how often can you drink baking soda a day?
You know, I always say titrate it. You know, if you're, a lot of people take 1 teaspoon to see how they're doing,
Yeah,
during the day, or sometimes people like to take, we take things called It's Easy. I've got alfalfa things at suedeheals.com
yeah.
because some people cannot take baking soda. Okay, when you're seeing the kidney issues and extra sodium, they can't take it. So you have to know their options. So alfalfa's plus 33, or Suede Hills, or Dr. Robert Young's got 4 bicarbonate drops, or his salt stuff that is pH Miracle stuff. But what happens is just try and get everything right up to there. And so if it's too low and your litmus paper is not shifting, then maybe try going to 1.5 during the day, or to 2. Don't most people are between 1 to 2, in there. But I will give you something. I should have brought the picture, I didn't think of it. But when I broke my knee, I shattered my ankle and my knee. I never went to the hospital, by the way. I put it all back together with the Genius, my knee, for all.
Wow.
Wow.
And I taught a medical summit the next morning, by the way, from the couch in my pajamas, because I did not go to the hospital. What I did, I didn't even go for an x-ray till I was up on crutches 6 weeks later. I used the Genius specifically on how to heal it. So I know how to do triaging and orthopedic surgery without it, right? Using the meridians. But my knee and the aura went absolutely black. Maybe next time I'm on, I'll show you. The aura went black at the knee because it was dead.
Wow.
There was nothing there. And you got to remember, on my right knee here, okay, I still do yoga and stuff now. This is like 3 years later. What happened is that I was so acidic, I didn't register. And that was a great lesson to me. I didn't register. Okay, these are the people
Wow.
that like to go to the hospital, by the way, for all these like infections these days, or whatever belief thing that they have. I had to use, I think I was at 10 pH happy caps I get from Suede Hills, and I ended up having to use, I think, close to 1.5 teaspoons during the day for 2 months to keep it up here. So only when you're alkaline can you go into a state of regeneration or organ regeneration, like stem cell regeneration.
Oh,
And
interesting. Okay.
yeah, so that was the lesson in there. And so that's something in there. Now, I'll put that in here. Suede Heels. I'm giving you, okay, inside information here. You cannot get it online. You have to talk to her. Okay. And there's a reason why they tend to take all this stuff off the market, because it works. If I opened up my happy cups in here, um, my litmus paper would actually um, will turn actually purple. Okay. Now, normally I've got meters and stuff to measure things, but in here I actually do have. That's my first aid nursing kit, by the way, just to teach stuff on here. But these are the kind of things that you can go into for, I'll just say spike protect and stuff like that. But these, there it is right there. Okay, this is what you have to ask for. It's not going to be on there. It's only by word of mouth.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't want anyone losing that. So again, right there, I'll just show that up if you can get it.
Okay.
Okay,
That's awesome. Thank
and
you.
I've got,
tell her you talk to me, because then it won't be an issue, right? She won't think you're some
I will
idiot
do that.
buying things and go,
I'm gonna call her after this call.
the amazing. This is the alfalfa. So what this is in here, this is so you guys need to know. When you can't take bicarbonate or stuff for Candida or yeast or whatever, it's basically alfalfa, stevia, and her secret minerals. Even though we're wonderful friends after years, she won't tell me what the secret minerals are, but they're alkaline minerals. But I will tell you it's the same thing. When I opened up one of these pills and I put it in here, it turned purple.
Wow.
Okay,
That's
Yeah.
and
amazing.
we have to remember, why do these things like wheatgrass work? Why do these things work in here? And if you're up here, and they do it internationally, I'll just give you something too. Really food based. There's a parasite purge, but we just got something here to you. Okay,
Oh,
very great for basically that candida.
Oh,
oh,
okay.
okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so these are part of my secret stash that we, let people know about, and then that way you can let your communities and your loved ones on there. And one more thing for Candida. I know it's going to
Sure.
sound strange, but everything you touch when you go into a store, or someone's near you or breathes on you or in close proximity, I have something called an air tamer. Okay?
Uh,
That blows negative ions around me 3 feet all the time. It will clear smoke within 3 minutes.
oh, interesting.
And
Great.
it's like a little taser. If you put it up here, you'll get a little shock because it's like an electrical fence it's keeping. So the people that have their candidas, they have these airborne things and stuff you can get on contact. This is priceless.
And can you put the link in for that as well?
I will get that. It's called an air wearable air purifier. And someone just asked about alfalfa. Olive leaf is great. Actually, Cindy's got that too. And olive leaf is used more so for when they're in larvae form. So you could mix a little bit of alfalfa, a little bit of that in your smoothies, that kind of thing. But Amazon has these. They're wearable. They go, by the way, I've got ones that are like $12, $15, up
Okay.
to a couple hundred. But this is USB. It's rechargeable for 2 days.
Okay,
So
great.
those are the things that you can use. And I actually have these things, all these tools. I have a library of all my tools, by the way. So I have a library of, do they need the education? Do you need this book? Do you need
Right.
whatever?
That's all, well, it's another great way, right, to use your genius. You can use it in so many different ways. We
Yeah.
are a little bit after 3, so I always like keeping it to our time. Karen, I can't thank you enough
Thank you.
for all the amazing information that you've shared with all of us, and love having you here, and let's do
Love you
this
too.
again soon.
Yeah, we want to get
Everybody,
steamy. I'm thinking we should have a steamy chick show. I'm going to show you how to use the genie just
definitely.
from my chair, from my holy chair.
Yeah, well, yeah. We'll definitely we'll set that up. Karen, you and I can figure out a date and get something like that set up for everybody. In the meantime, thank you everybody so much for being here. Come back next Thursday for who knows what will come up next Thursday, but thank you all so much. I'm just going to turn the recording
Thank you. Thank you so much.